Thank you. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Go ahead and unmute yourself or type in. Go ahead, fire away. Questions, anything goes about whatever you'd like.
And go ahead, Sarah, and then Peggy.
Hey, Sarah.
Hey, Greg. Yeah, I was hoping to get some pointers for using the oils to support me around like ADHD symptoms, and I could tell you the specific symptoms if you would like.
Yeah, give me specific symptoms.
Okay. I mean, the main one is just this nonstop brain that goes in a million different directions all the time. Then there's like just
how are you differentiating ADD or ADHD and anxiety?
Well, so with the ADHD, what I've read is that can be one of the symptoms. I don't really have trouble sitting still with the hyperactive part, but that if your brain's really hyperactive, that could be one of the symptoms. I did get kind of a diagnosis from my psychiatrist, and we also did a neurotransmitter panel, and I was very low in neuroendoprinephrine, which is the transmitter that's very low for people with ADHD, and there's a big history of it in my family too. Okay. So yeah, just the brain going a million different directions. Hard time paying attention when people are talking to me. Lots of just like, I get so many ideas, like creative ideas, but really hard time focusing and following through on them. Just a hard time keeping up with errands, and lots of procrastination around errands and things like that.
So procrastination, and then also just like distractions when you're in the middle of doing something.
Oh yeah, I'm just very easily distracted. But it's partly like I'm curious about everything. But yeah, easily distracted too, for sure. I'd say that's the main ones.
Right. Let me think this out. Because there's different kinds of ADHD, and then there's variations, and even the diagnoses.
Yeah.
The distraction. I would have you start with two different things. I would do I would use sage quite substantially as a body tonic inhalation. That's gonna help with the neurotransmitter issues, and then the like be supportive of the adrenals, which a lot of times when things are bouncing around, like what you're talking about, the adrenals are like they're overactivated, and like oil wise, you would say, oh, you need to stimulate the adrenals, and it doesn't mean stimulation like being overactivated. It means like stimulating them to proper function. And sage is one of the ones that you can use for that.
Yeah, I've actually been doing a sage body tonic almost every day for I think about 3 months.
Okay.
But I know sometimes it takes consistency.
You should start to notice something, especially if the diagnosis was accurate. Do you happen to have galbanum?
I do.
Let's have you still keep using the sage.
Okay.
Because again, the sage, sometimes it might not be making it completely better, but it might be keeping things a little bit checked, even though you're not finding complete relief there. But
yeah, I have noticed since using the sage, I'm a little less sensitive to noises.
Yeah, perfect.
Like that.
And it's very good for the neurotransmitters in the brain, and like it hits a lot of the markers that you're talking about there. So
I'm just using regular sage. Is there another sage that might be better?
No, you could use probably not. Okay. I mean, you could try different sages, but they're all going to be very similar in this area.
Mhm.
You know, the thing that you could do if you wanted to like step up the dosage would be like more of a Spanish sage.
Okay.
But I don't know that the dosage is really going to change a whole lot. So, you know, I would just stick with what you're doing. And are you inhaling the sage at all, or you're just putting on the body tonic?
Just the body tonic.
Okay. Do you have any sage that you can inhale?
I do, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
let's have you inhale as well. Like
Okay.
just, you know, a couple times a day, 20, 30 inhalations, and just see if that can improve it. The thing that like you do with the galbanum is do a bunch of inhalations. It doesn't have to be all at once, but
Mhm.
on the throat. And you know, after doing maybe 40 or 50 inhalations, and it could be in a few like batches, it doesn't have to be all at once.
Mhm.
Then maybe go to the ajna a little bit, and then the back heart.
Okay.
And the idea being that when your mind is like busy, like one of the things that we look at, or at least what I look at, is you're looking at more of the logical mind, which is based on sensory input, sensory information,
Mhm.
and you look at the quality of the intuitive functions, which is like it's not based on rational thinking. So like that kind of like rapid thing, you know, those thoughts running through your head or your mind being a million miles an hour. It just another thing that you could say is that it's lacking the intuitive thought, and there's an excess of logical thought,
Yeah.
which I mean is actually very normal. Like
Mhm.
that's not super abnormal, but like it can get a little out of control. And so the byproduct of the logical mind being out of control, I'm going to say this, but it's not how we think about it in the West, like, you know, this word or this term. um it just means like, so basically when the logical mind becomes in excess, it produces like a kind of worry. And this worrying mechanism isn't worry like how we think about it, like in the US, like, oh, I'm worried what's gonna, you know, what's gonna happen, you know, in the news. I'm worried about this person, I'm worried about that person. What it means in mystical practices is that the mind is trying to anticipate what's going to happen. Like
Mhm.
it's like it's trying to prevent from being displaced. And so it's really a byproduct of the stress response. um and that goes along with, like you said, like it's hard to follow through with a task, you get procrastination, you know, all of those are tied to that as well. And so what happens when you use the galbanum, especially on the throat, you know, you kind of go throat and ajna, but it's like the throat is the one doing the heavy lifting as far as generating the worry.
Mhm.
It takes a kind of like tension out of the brain, and it takes a kind of tension out of the mind, because the worry, like in the mystical sense, isn't like it's affecting your, you know, the psyche, but it's not of the psyche, you know, if
Mhm.
that makes sense. Like it's more like physiological. It's actually tied more to instinctual responses than anything. And so this part won't necessarily completely regulate the instinctual responses, but it's a step towards getting to a place where you can start to regulate the instinctual responses. Because
Mhm.
it's one of those things like the chicken and the egg, that like you just kind of keep going back and forth and treating something. But you know, like when we look at it from a point of view of symptom oriented, you go, okay, if I do this, then this, then this. Where this is a lot more like a dance, like you start engaging this worry mechanism, and then you start trying to address the stress, and you just kind of keep going back and forth until something kind of cracks or breaks, you know, in the pattern. And so the thing with the worry, like when I do this on myself, Like if I do it at 7, I'm usually in bed at 7:30. Like, I mean, I'm like, it just knocks me out. And it just takes a bunch of like mental, emotional, physical tension out of your body. And the first few times, I mean, it depends. I might take a little bit to kind of crack the like the pattern, so to speak. But once it starts to crack, it starts to go kind of fast. And so let's have you start with that. Like, I mean, we could do a bunch of things, but like, I think if you stay more concentrated on this for a little bit, and then we'll kind of roll it over into the stress response itself, then we can get them going back and forth. But I know, like personally, I usually go much harder on the galbanum right off the bat. And then everything else, and it works almost every time. Like, you know, the times it doesn't work is the times where I'm too distracted or something, and I'm just not doing the process like I would normally do. And so let's start you with that. If you want to put some on your wrist, you could do that. If you want to take some extra galbanum internally, you could do that. I mean, I would suggest doing one or the other or both. You know, everybody has their like little kind of personal things that are like, but one's for Samantha and myself. I mean, we both take galbanum every day, and we both take Melissa every day. I'll take basil every day. You know, there's a handful of things that I use every day. Galbanum was one of them. I mean, it does so many good things for you. And so I'd say let's have you do that so that we start kind of cracking that ability to go like intuitive a bit more. And the intuition is just, it will help you to kind of regulate that part of the mind, and it will help you to sleep a little better. And you know, you're just, intuition isn't always, I can't remember if I've said this to you guys or not, but intuition isn't always like, oh, I intuit that this is, you know, what I should be doing, or I got this direction. Intuition also is the ability to be like taught something, like not memorizing, but like a process. So like you go, oh, I know how to tie my shoes. Like I go down, somebody showed me how to, like, you know, cross the laces and do this and that. That's actually a form of intuition, because you didn't think that out with your rational mind. Somebody showed you and you kind of mimicked it, and then eventually you're able to do that. And your mind isn't really perceiving like, these are the steps, this is the template, this is the consequence. Like it kind of knows that those things are out there, but intuition is, that's just like like what you would call like lower intuition. And so your ability to like engage a process or learn a process to have a certain kind of outcome is really more intuition than it is the logical mind. And so even here, you're using the intuitive components to be able to do some of the things in your day so that you don't have the busy mind, you could say, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, great. That sounds really good. So 40 to 50 inhalations on the throat, and then
if you can do more, you can do more, but I'd say at least do that.
Okay. So once a day, 40 to 50, and then
it could be once a day, it could be several times a day. Like I usually save it till the end of the day just because it makes me a little sleepy. Okay. But if you want to do it during the day, like if anxiety levels are high, being a little sleepy just means you're feeling normal. Right. And so like if you want to start off your day kind of doing that, you could do that, but definitely at the end of the day. And if you can do more, you can do more, but at least try to knock out 40 or 50, like, you know, inhalations with your awareness on your throat.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Thanks so much, Greg. Okay.
You're so welcome.
And then go ahead, Peggy, then Linda.
Hello, hello.
Hey.
We have Sarah has a member who last Wednesday's session, I didn't get to attend all of the session because someone showed up, but this member does not utilize oils. He generally only attends the Wednesday night Astara sessions that you do. And he sent me an email and said, he has a question about focus. And he said, the mental or the physical or the emotional, is it okay to focus on two things or just one? He said he's trying to focus on something physical, but also on anxiety.
What are we talking about, and what are we referencing? Like, I don't remember what we did last week, so I apologize.
Yeah, I wasn't here for it either. So it was last Wednesday night's Astara session, and in you know how you guide us through a meditation.
Okay, yeah.
So maybe even sometimes you give people the opportunity to answer questions on Wednesday. I don't actually know, but I told him I really didn't know if the answer to.
Yeah, I would focus on one thing at a time. Like, there's this old, kind of metaphysical or mystical thing to say, break one arrow at a time.
Okay.
Because like when the focus starts to be too diffused, you're basically trying to generate some movement. And whenever you start to talk about focus, we don't really go into the energy centers or this or that, but part of what you're doing is by focusing the mind, you're activating the ajna, the area between the eyebrows. And that stimulates reflective mechanisms, that stimulates the ability to like contemplate, that stimulates, basically it's a way of saying like processed wisdom, where the forehead would be a flash of inspiration, but then the area between the eyebrows like kind of processes it and goes, okay, how do I put this in action? And so when we're going through and we're doing that, it's not just the blessing that's coming through. The blessing would act as the flash of intuition, and then the inspiration, and then how that person integrates the blessing and has it physicalized in their life or in the environment would be through the ajna. And so if it's focused on too many different things, like it won't have a very good physicalizing effect. So you really kind of want to do like one thing, and then you can do another one right afterwards.
Yeah.
But, that like one of my teachers way back in the day used to always say this thing to me. He'd say, never whistle while you pee. And it's a thing, and you kind of like chuckle and you go, that's silly and everything, but when you start doing two things at once, your attention really starts to
dissipate.
go away. Yeah. And so even like if you start thinking while you pee, like it changes even how your body releases the urine.
It lets it flow.
So it's a silly thing, but it sticks in your mind, and it means like be fully present with the thing that you're doing. And that's the thing sometimes with doing healings and prayers is we'll try to do a whole bunch of things. We've all done it. Like I used to be pro at it, and it's not wrong, it's just not as effective. And so you literally just kind of go to one thing at a time. No, he could do one thing, like say we're doing a little session, he could spend a couple minutes thinking of one thing and then just switch over to the other one. But I wouldn't do them both at the same time.
Okay, I thought that, but thank you.
Good.
And go ahead, Linda. Then
hey, Linda.
Hey, Greg. Nice to see you.
Hey.
I have a couple of, I guess I might call them esoteric questions here.
Ooh, I love that.
Okay, good. All right. So the first one has to do with the medulla.
Okay.
Whether or not, is there a relationship somehow between the medulla and the Antakarana? And
okay. I mean, it has an influence, but the Antakarana, like a lot of times we'll call it the spiritual cord, but the Antakarana is actually the three little chords that are associated with the seeds, and it's the like the chord, the part that's moving up, right? And so I mean it has its impact, but what are you trying to do? Are you trying to just like strengthen the spiritual cord?
Well, the reason I asked was because I was doing the 3-brain protocol from the vagus nerve class, and as I was doing the medulla thing in the second part, it was like suddenly there was a sense of something much brighter and more intense going on. And the little bell went off. I thought, I wonder if there's an interplay here.
So what I would say, you know, because the vagus nerve is coming out of the medulla, like right by the, you know, like I could show you a picture. We can dig it up here at some point, but and so it is tied to this connection between the heart and the crown, which is impacting a segment of the cord, you know, the spiritual cord, and it's part of how the energy does move up, you know, from the heart up to the crown. And so the more stimulation of that, like the stronger it gets. And you know, there's different levels and there's different ways of stimulating it. You know, we did something very relatively directly, but even when you're doing like your meditation with your awareness on your heart and crown, that's kind of doing it a little bit. And then you do the Lama yoga with the head going up and down, you know, that's doing it a little bit. And all those things are contributing, but as that center gets stimulated, it starts to accelerate. But one of the stronger ways to stimulate it is by working the 3-brain itself. Like it's very toning to the vagus nerve. It's very like stimulating to the medulla, and it's very stimulating to that connection between the heart and the crown. So really what starts to happen over a period of time is we're building this kind of like pillar, you could say. And one of the ways to build it very quickly is actually by working the 3 brains. And, you know, right now we're like getting used to them and putting your awareness on the 3 and balancing them out and trying to keep your awareness on them like relatively equally. And then we did the body mapping stuff to give that pillar more building material. And you know, at some point we'll be doing a thing, and I mean I can guide you through a part of it right now without an oil, but basically you start at the sex chakra, you inhale several times, you know, inhale, exhale, then you go to the solar plexus. So now you're working it in a specific order, and then eventually to the brain, but the brain then slowly turns into the forehead, back head. Like, so at first you're doing the brain, but then after a little bit, it becomes forehead, back head. And as you kind of do that, then you can kind of do your thing where you harmonize the 3, but at some point they start aligning on their own, and you really almost stop thinking about like, oh, I have to balance these 3 out, because they're balanced enough to where you can move on, you know, if you know what I mean. Like and when that starts to happen, the kind of light that comes in becomes much more substantial. And then there's a process where you basically kind of bring tremendous light to each one of the centers, but you're doing it to generate, like, because the light is activity, you know, it's motion, it's you know why we call it active clairvoyance. And you go through and you do this purification process, and it just starts shedding lower vibrational energy from the form, like in a very substantial way, very, very substantial way. Almost to the point where it can be a little bit overwhelming. But that's why we do it like in steps. So by the time you get there, it's not overwhelming. Like if you just jumped into it, it'd be a rough week or two. Like, you'd probably have like bad headaches and a backache, and, just like when really deep energy moves, it's a little rough on the body a little bit. And so, I mean, I can run you through that right now. So if you want to experience that, we'll be using oils that will amplify it quite substantially. And there's a little bit of a buildup before and a little bit of a thing that you do after. But, if you guys want to do it, let's go ahead and just do it. Like, we could do like a little 5-minute version of it. But this way you have something to practice if you'd like.
Okay, I would be up for it. I don't know how everybody else feels on the call. So,
well, I counted the votes, and
it's unanimous.
It's totally unanimous.
Everybody wants to do it.
No, I don't know. It's a little 5-minute thing, so it won't be very long. And okay. We are going to do picking up where we've done the body mapping, and we're going to do the thing where we're using the body mapping to like give the pillar of light like more building material, is the best way that I could say it. And once we do that, we are going to do the like advanced vagus nerve work, and it's a rocket ship. I mean, the first one's a rocket ship, but the it just keeps building on everything that we've been doing. I mean, it is totally a practice unto itself.
Yeah.
And we won't do that till December, but
yeah. It sounds to me like this also leads into my second question, which is about the nerve fluid. So is this part of what helps us to develop the ability to do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, especially building the pillar of light, the nerve fluid gets substantially like more potent. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Thank you. And I'd love to experience it. So
so I mean, it's just like working the 3 brains, but in a very specific way. Here we're not going to use an oil, we're just going to do a little meditation. But close your eyes, just notice how you feel. Okay, and then your awareness is on the sex chakra, where the sex organs are, and just take long, slow, deep breaths. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Then move your awareness up to the solar plexus, the area below your ribs on your upper abdomen. And now move your awareness up to the brain. Your awareness is still on your brain. Gently switch to your awareness being on the forehead and the back head at the same time. And then let's just do like maybe 7 or 10 of the Lama Yoga breaths. So chin down, inhale through your nose, raising your head up. Exhale through the mouth, head going down. Inhale up, exhale 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 down. Just be still. Just be still. Just let it incubate. Awareness on the sixth chakra again. Long, slow, deep breath. Move your awareness up to the solar plexus, below your ribs. And in your brain, your awareness is on the brain. Then switch to your forehead and back head. Your awareness is on the forehead and back head. Let it all go for a moment. And then chin down, and let's do a few Lama Yoga breaths. So inhale, moving your head up. Exhale, down. Inhale up. Exhale, down. Inhale up. Exhale, down. Inhale up. Exhale, down. Up. Down. Up. Down. Up. Down. Up. Down. Just be still. Yeah, we don't have the building material that's from the what do we call it? The body wisdom, the wisdom of the body, or body wisdom, body's wisdom. Like I can never remember. We don't have the building material of that. You know, we have to do things to the thymus and some other things, but this is like a little taste of that class. But with oils, it's amplified, and by combining different things from the body mapping, I find that it tones the vagus nerve in ways that I've never seen in any other way. And it's very stimulating to the medulla in ways that I've never seen before. You know, outside of this practice, I don't know that there's a way to do it. You know, maybe there is, but not that I'm aware of. But how does that feel, Linda?
Well, when we first started, I have to admit I was a little giddy because I was very excited about doing something like that. And as we went through the process, I could just feel a certain kind of expansion, I guess, but also a, I want to say firmness or a steadiness. Maybe steadiness is better. Yeah.
I think you're describing it perfectly, because, you know, it is like an expansive state, but it's like an expansive state that is got like movement behind it, or momentum. You know, it's for not just sitting on the meditation pillow, but like going out in the world, and, you know, going back to what we were talking about before, where you're going past the logical mind and you're going into more of the intuitive mind. And so there's intuitive guidance and things, but there's also this ability to like adapt and modify your actions and your behaviors like on the move. And you know, like learning actions and movement and behaviors like this is more of the intuitive mind than it is the logical mind. And when you start to have that, that's like when I sometimes say, like, you know, there's a situation, let's just walk our way out of it, or let's like dance our way out of it. it's because it's through like a set of movements that gets us out of it, not to like sit and think about it, figure it out, how we're going to do it, how we're going to do the next step, how we're going to do this, like deal with this as a symptom or whatever it is. But it's, you just start doing this movement, and you basically just start evolving out of things. You know, it's it doesn't matter where it's at or how deep it is or how much of a tailspin you've been in. You just start walking your way out of it. And, you know, it could be a bad situation in business. It could be, you know, something to do in a relationship where, you know, it might be that you walk out of the relationship, or that you start doing something different in the relationship, and the relationship grows and evolves in ways that it wasn't going to. You know, so there's all these like variations that are like potentials. And, you know, that like that firmness or that density that you're talking about is, it's light, but at some point it feels like an expansive state. But once that light, or, you know, another way of saying the light in the mind would be even that flash of inspiration, once it starts to get processed, it gets denser, like it gets like more physical, and it starts to be closer to what's going to start engaging, you know, action or activity. And so, like, I think you described it to a T. Like, you know, it's a hard thing to describe, but there is that kind of denseness, or that like vibration, or that almost feels like light is physical.
Yeah.
And then you can start acting on it. Yeah. And it is literally the fuel that then starts to help you to take action, or to think, or to feel, or adjust, adapt. You know, because even if you think about, like in spiritual practices, one of the things that's it's not the fastest, but is probably the, like saying that it's the safest isn't the right way. It's just safe because, you know, people are less likely to like fall or act out, you know, fall like because of pride or something. Would be devotional practices, you know, just being devotional to a deity, or to a teacher, or to a set of teachings. And in that, you're being devoted to like an idea or an ideal. And you know, devotional practices a lot of times involve being devotional to, like Christians, they're devotional to Christ. You know, and if you're Catholic, you're devotional to Christ and maybe a couple saints, you know. And if you're Buddhist, it might be the Buddha, or it might be, you know, one of the other beings. But in that devotional practice is this aspect of mimicking the teacher. You know, you watch the behavior, and then you mimic the behavior. So in the Hindu tradition, you know, there's the being that is known as Rama. And his greatest disciple is Hanuman, which they portray Hanuman as like a monkey faced god. And the reason why a monkey, it's not that he was a monkey, it was just monkeys mimic anything that they see. So if you pick something up, they pick it up. If you throw it down, they throw it down. And so he's considered, you know, one of the greatest disciples, because he constantly watches his teacher and mimics the teacher. And why this is important is it is tapping into the intuitive mind. Like, that's not the logical mind doing that. It's learning a behavior that is, you know, beyond rational thinking. And so the idea is that the intuitive mind taps into the communication with the higher soul and your ability to connect with the divine. And unless we're getting flashes of intuition, how do we go there? How do we take it there? And so by mimicking like a great teacher, or a guru, or a saint, or, you know, whatever it is, you're tapping into that intuitive mind, and you're learning a behavior that increases the connection to the divine, and eventually like it produces a kind of oneness where then you just keep going deeper and deeper with it because you're already in the intuitive mind. And that is bringing in that light. It's a different way of bringing in that light that eventually becomes, like a concretized light or a processed light. And the thing with like disciples of great teachers, they're not sitting around and meditating. Usually a disciple of somebody is very, very busy. Like they're very, 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 very busy. And so they are constantly having to put things in action. And you could say that, like in the Buddhist tradition, in the Nyingma tradition, they refer to it as spirituality and action, or spirituality through action. And in some of the other traditions, they would call it being spirited rather than being spiritual. And even if you look at Christians with the disciples around Christ, they weren't all just sitting around meditating. They all had their action items and their list of to-dos and had to go out there and start, taking care of business. And it's one thing to experience the light, but then to take the light and be able to start directing it in different parts of your life, that's a whole nother level, like a whole nother level. And it's the thing that refines us and evolves us the most. And so evolution could be like, spiritual development. It could be psychological healing. It could actually even be physical healing. It's like the way to accelerate healing the body is by engaging these processes like that. And so, yeah, I mean, we could keep going on and on about it. I could go on tangents for a while, but it would accelerate healing on whatever level you're trying to heal.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, like for so long, I was so excited about, like, we're getting close to these classes that I want to teach so bad. Like, this is why is like, for me, I feel that they're game changers. They're just such a game changer.
Well, thank you for bringing them to us. We really appreciate it deeply.
Yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying.
Very much.
Look at you perceiving all of that, like, that it's getting denser and
there was a lot of movement there. Like when we did the forehead and back head, I felt like energy was pouring out both of those and kind of like this like circular thing coming out. And then so much activity in the back head area during that quiet time before we did the Lama yoga. And then everything was just, it was very interesting. I mean, it's really hard to describe, right? Because there was lots of movement, but very steady. Very
right. Yeah. I think you're describing it perfectly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Yeah.
And then go ahead, Sahaja, then Robert.
Hey, Saha.
Hi there. Hi, Greg.
Hey.
This is very practical, moving away from the esoteric. I fell the other day and
bummer.
I know, bummer is right. I'm practicing all my balance and stuff, and I tripped over something and I landed on my knee, and I did a bunch of stuff, and I mean, basically, I can tell you what I did. I did Tarragon, I did Hyssop, I did Marjoram. Did
it swell?
No, it didn't really swell, but the thing is, the day after, I was really achy all over. So, it's like as you get older, you find that these have their after effects. So I was like really surprised how achy it was, just a general achiness.
Like on the kneecap itself, or in and around the knee, or
my whole body. My whole body. My neck was really sore, and I mean, it wasn't a big fall. It was just sort of like I tripped over something. I fell. I knew I was falling.
That's enough, though.
Yeah.
But like you said, even when you're young, like the impact's there, but youth is like backing you up. So, the injury is masked by like, well, I'm just going to keep moving. But, as you get a little older, like after the age of 32, youth doesn't back you up anymore. Like, you know what I mean? It starts just slowly fading away. And, it just gets progressive after that. So this is what I would do. Like I would use like something like lemongrass or tarragon, marjoram. I would take lemongrass if you have it.
I do tons.
I would have like probably put 3 drops in water and take it internally.
Uh-huh.
Because part of what happened is, you're describing all the achiness is it disrupted the parasympathetic activity, and then throws off the lymphatic system and the inflammatory response, and it starts this like kind of chain reaction, and you do so much work that it probably is not going to take much to pop it back into proper function. And so the lemongrass would do it, and then keep treating it locally with like what you talked about. Helichrysum would probably be my go-to one.
Yeah.
Did the skin break at all or no?
No.
So you could actually even put hyssop on it. Like you could go back and forth between the helichrysum and the hyssop. But I do like the idea of terebinth for that. And if you feel like, like on the spot, but if you also feel like your leg or your hip or your back got a little bit tweaked, like a sprain or a strain, put marjoram on those areas. Marjoram or terebinth.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so weird because it is my whole body, was this.
That makes me think it's just an autonomic disruption.
Yeah. So a couple of drops of
lemongrass, and you could do it like a couple of times a day. I mean, you could do a little bit more, but a couple of times a day is probably going to nail it. And within a day or two, you should start feeling a bit better. And after maybe 3 days or so, you could probably start fading away from even doing it. But you could do it for a few weeks if you want to.
Mm-hmm. I do it every day I just do a spray of lemongrass on my legs, because that's something.
Oh, that's super good. But I mean, I would probably take some internally. Yeah.
Okay.
But do it in water, because if you just like, I'm a little bit of like, oh, I'll just put it on my tongue and swallow it, and it makes your stomach hurt a little bit if you do it that way. But if you put it with water, it needs to be diluted a little bit.
Okay.
So it'll be fine. Like other oils, you can kind of, I don't suggest it, but like, even if I do helichrysum, I put a few drops on my mouth and just, maybe wash it down or something. But lemongrass, you gotta mix it in water.
Okay. I'll do lemongrass and water. Thank you.
Yeah, perfect. And then if for some reason in a couple of days it doesn't feel better, let me know, but that should really knock it out.
Okay, great. Okay. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Help. Thanks.
And then go ahead, Robert, and then we have some questions in chat as well.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Greg.
Hey, how are you, my friend?
Really good. Thank you for that protocol. And I wanted to echo, I think it was Linda, what she was saying about the energy coming out of the back and front head when we did those. And to me, it finally felt complete.
Yeah.
It felt like it had been missing something until then. And it was just like,
Yeah.
The other,
there's stages to it, and like you got to let, like I back when I was doing it in the early days, I was like, yeah, I don't really need to do the stages. I can do is rough, so like the pace that we're doing is still a pretty kind of fast pace, but it makes it very digestible. Like you can integrate it and digest it all at once, and it feels nice. Even if you feel like, oh, I'm going a little intense on this, you could just take a few days off and feel okay. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where before I had a rough couple months. It's like, oh, youth, just one of those youthful dumb things you do, right? And so there still are more steps, but something's being built, and like you said, it does feel complete. And then there's almost like an activation of what gets built is the best way to say it.
Well, and that was the second part I wanted to say, is that in this pillar that's built, I almost felt like a protection,
Yeah.
almost like a psychic protection.
Yeah.
And that's not its purpose, I know, but that's
Well,
how
it would be a byproduct. Like, it's not like, oh, let's do this for psychic protection, but like psychic protection is dependent on your body's reaction to whatever is being projected. And like if you ever saw The Matrix, like towards the end, it's like the bullets didn't matter anymore. The projections don't matter anymore. Like it really, they go
just
down substantially, because a lot of times when we go like, I feel like an attack from somebody, they probably did it for like 5 or 10 minutes, and then they're we're grinding on it for maybe another couple hours, and then they moved on. Your body will feel it for weeks or months after that. And it's because it creates this like reaction, and it's not conscious. It's a lot of it's the immune system is reacting. And so when this becomes more activated, you're in that pillar is going through you, it's hitting the spine, the spinal cord, and the thymus has been regulated. Like all these things are in place so that when people project things at you, it's just like, yeah. And so you don't quite, you feel the protective component of it, but at the same time, it takes down a level or degree of anxiety, because like the vulnerability has diminished, if that makes sense. You don't feel quite as vulnerable as you did before. And so it's very unconscious, but there's just almost like this, like, because it's like, it's going to take a lot more than normal stuff to hurt me. I'm not talking about like getting hit over the head, but just the projections, the little snotty remarks. Like I noticed that when I do this practice a little bit more intense, and we'll be somewhere and somebody makes a really snotty remark. Like usually I have like a little quick comeback or something, and it's usually not super snotty, but it's a little bit of like right back at you, and I don't even feel the need to do the right back at you. I just like, oh, look at you, little buddy, you're being so cute. It's just, it's like the drama stops. It just stops. It's the best way I could say it. The little back and forth, the need to even say something, or the one of the people that I used to be affiliated with back in the day, he says, when it really happens, it really becomes mind over matter. I don't mind because they don't matter. And at first I laughed about it and everything. I started thinking about it. I was like, I know exactly what he's talking about.
It's like knowing who you are.
Yeah.
And being totally okay with it. And someone says something, yeah, okay, that's me. So what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah. It's going to be an exciting few months. I'm even the little things that we're doing kind of all support all the stuff we're doing. And so it's for me, it's just so nice, because I never in a million years thought I was ever going to get to teach this. And I'm just like almost giddy about it when I think about it.
I've been having fun looking at the upcoming classes on the website. And even without the descriptions, it's like, ooh, this is going to be a really good task.
Oh, they're all juicy.
Yeah.
They're all very, very juicy.
It's like every single weekend from now through November 4th, I have a class I want to take. Okay. Thank you.
You're so welcome. And even like, what is it, in a couple of weeks where we have just a 1 day, we have the Lymphatic 7 class, and then the next day is it's close to Stara's anniversary, so we're going to be doing a Sunday session, but like a little free lecture and everything. And I'm going to lecture quite substantially about the three brains and the mechanisms and the difference between normal clairvoyance and what active clairvoyance is and everything. And so, even though we're not doing a class that day, I would say, it's only going to be like probably an hour and a half or 2 hour little lecture. But I would say definitely check that out. I mean, we'll record it, but we're in the process of pulling the information together to make like a little booklet to give you guys. But it's all about the languaging and like how to present. So I mean, I've already written like probably 60 or 70 pages, but I have to go back and then look at it and go, let's maybe start over and refine it. But we'll have something that we'll be able to give you guys here in a little bit. And when we do, I'm just going to gift it to the students, and, just give it as a gift. Yeah.
And then go ahead, Sonia.
Hey, Sonia.
On that star anniversary, are you going to do that crystal clearing and the helmet and all that stuff like you did before?
Oh, we'll probably do something like that the Tuesday night, which is the 17th, which is the official Astara thing. We won't do it on the weekend, but we'll do it. We'll do something on the Tuesday night. Yeah.
On the 17th. So we
I
can
have it
have
up on the site.
Yeah.
I'll see about getting a link for you
Yeah.
guys.
our crystals and stuff ready, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, here. I'll put a link. Yeah, so October 17th. Let me see if this will link for you guys. This is the one directly on just the Astara site for that anniversary. And then we had some questions in chat as well. I just want to make sure we're getting everybody's things here. Okay. You said you were coming to Chicago, oh my gosh, Seattle, in November. Do you know the dates?
I do. We are going to be there the 17th through the 19th.
And then go ahead, Sonia, and then we'll go back to the chat questions.
Let's see. Like my ear where I had that branch poke me, and then what happened is they did a CAT scan, and they said it's a conduction problem. It's not getting to the nerve because there's a little gap between two of the little bones that formed when the branch poked it. And so I'm wanting to know if there's something I can do about it. It's causing moderate to severe hearing loss, and that.
I bet. So it got poked. So if I remember right, we were having you use like helichrysum and things like that.
Yeah.
Did we ever use sage?
I think so. Let's see. There were a number of things that, so like the torn tissue, it helped. Yeah, it was helichrysum, and also it's caused tinnitus. It's like It sounds like
Yeah,
snow.
let's have you go on with some sage. Like I think the sage could be helpful. Like I'd rub it, like I wouldn't put it in the ear, but rub it all around the ear, like pretty good. And then, like take several drops and just rub it in kind of neat. If your skin can handle it. If not, put it in with like a little bit of lotion or massage oil and rub it in around the ears. And then do a lot of inhalations with sage.
Okay.
Yeah, see that should help the tinnitus, and that should help conductivity issues, and also just help to fortify that area.
Okay, and then there was something else. I was using sage and camphor, Paracelsus, and anise. It's for the autonomic dysregulation.
Right. Yeah. Keep using those. Take a little bit of that anise internally too, by the way, if you can, like 2 or 3 drops.
Okay, and it was helichrysum, camphor, and anise is I think that I've been using.
Yeah, put the Paracelsus out like on your gut. Take a few drops of the anise or anise internally. Inhale a lot of the camphor and the Paracelsus as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then go ahead, Letty, and then we'll go back.
Hey, Miss Letty.
Hi, Greg. Hi, Sam. How are you doing?
Hey.
Greg, I have a question for you. So I'm not sure what I did to myself, but my right neck area from, I don't know, it goes all the way up into like my skull. Like it hurts. I don't know if I slept wrong, but I had my sister rubbing it out and we were using that APR. I don't know, maybe just
your
because
ear or behind your ear? Like it's behind
Sorry?
your ear? It's like behind your ear, or is it back on the back of your head?
On the back of the head.
Okay.
Not like direct center, but over to a little bit to the right. And it's my right side. And she was kind of rubbing me, and then like the whole right side, and I don't know what I did. She said she could tell one area towards the bottom was swollen. So I've been putting APR, and then I've soaked in marjoram.
Yeah. Okay. That actually could be the sternocleidomastoid. It will cause like weird inflammations in the neck, and but you don't remember straining it or anything. You just probably slept wrong or something of that nature.
I don't remember straining it. I know that I kind of
Did you ever
stayed a
have
little
an
bit
injury? Did you ever have an injury like a long time ago?
Not necessarily to this right side. No, like
okay.
My shoulder blade area has always bothered me, but it's always been mainly it's always mainly been my left. But this is all like on my right, my neck. But I don't know if you remember not too long ago, I did try to break up a fight at school.
Oh yeah.
And that kind of
threw you a little bit out of whack.
Yeah.
Does it hurt when you swallow?
No, but it'll randomly hurt if I'm chewing or something, it'll randomly hurt a little bit it'll hurt on my skull area.
Okay. And your eyes, have they gotten blurry?
I mean, I wear contacts. It's kind of hard to.
But they're not more blurry than normal or anything like that?
No. Mm-mm.
Are they watery, or are you tearing up more than normal?
No, I'm not. No.
And what about when you walk? Like you're walking and you're able to stay in a straight line, or do every once in a while you got to stick your foot out?
No, I'm walking in a straight line. Yes.
Okay.
Even with heels.
Even
at
with
work.
heels. And does it hurt when you turn to one side or the other?
No,
Like
not
when you-
really.
Like when you go like this?
Like a little bit, but not
Which direction?
if I turn to my left, like I feel it.
Okay, so that's what trapezius. Okay, and when you tilt your head back, are you dizzy?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay. Let's have you use something like spikenard or vetiver or something like that and rub it on the side of your neck, but also on the shoulder here. And then have your sister rub it like down on both sides of your spine between your shoulder blades.
Okay.
And do that, like, if you can't do it twice a day, but at least once a day. And do it for probably 3 or 4 days. Like within a day or two, it should feel better. But if it's still not feeling better, then we'll do a reevaluation. But that should knock it out.
Okay. That was my thinking. I was gonna do vetiver was gonna be the next thing I was thinking.
Yeah, it's the thing with vetiver and spikenard is sometimes with inflammation, it causes a little bit of like a muscle imbalance, and it starts just kind of getting more and more wonky. And you're calming down the muscles and you're balancing out the muscles. That you have a little bit of inflammation there means that, you know, anytime inflammation happens, it starts to cause an imbalance just because something's losing tone. So when something loses tone, the other side goes into spasm. So it doesn't sound like it's very bad, but you know, it's painful enough, it's swollen enough. So let's just start treating it, and even go up like on the scalp a little bit, especially towards the back side, you know, go up that, like if you go to where that medulla area is, and then go to the right and then just go up a little bit on the head, that will be helpful as well.
Okay. And that's kind of the area that I had my sister rubbing it out yesterday, like kind of up. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
Perfect.
Okay, back to questions. Could you talk more about the lymphatic 7 class coming up? What is it different than other lymphatic technique classes?
Which one is it?
Lymphatic technique 7.
The lymphatic 7. Yeah, like, so, you know, in the first few classes, we do like kind of a bigger overview, and then we start fine tuning and really going deep on a particular area. And the issue that we're addressing in the lymphatic 7 class, you know, keep in mind it's a free class. So a lot of the oils that maybe you've had in previous classes, you'll probably get to use in this class. So, you know, it's just a 1-day class, but we're going to go much deeper on the neck. And the neck is tied to really how well your lymphatic system is functioning, be it physically or energetically. The throat chakra itself is the chakra that regulates or stimulates the function of the lymphatic system. And then there's muscles in your neck. You know, we're sitting here talking that out with Letty here, and we're looking at the sternocleidomastoid and how much it's involved. And so we're doing a deep dive on the sternocleidomastoid, because probably out of all the muscles in your body, one of the most important and profound muscles in the body itself. And just with tightness in there, it can throw off things in your eyes, it can throw off your nervous system, it can throw off your inner ear. But one of the things that it also does is it throws off your breathing, it throws off lymphatic function. And so we're going to go through and unwind the sternocleidomastoid and kind of do this restorative process of things that potentially cause agitation in the neck and in the shoulders, so that it lasts longer and you don't kind of like make it feel better and then it goes backwards again. And so, you know, the neck and the gut are two of the areas that have the greatest potential for being compromised for whatever reasons, you know, whether injury, taking stuff from other people, be it, you know, their anger, their hostility, their aggression, postural issues, the way we sleep, there's all these things. And so we're just going to go through and unwind the neck to a very high degree. We're going to do it physically, we're going to do it fascially, we're going to do it energetically. We're going to reduce agitation that predisposes your neck to getting wound up. We're going to unwind the neck in a fascial way. We're going to unwind it in a muscular way. We're going to unwind it. There was one more way: muscular, fascial. And if I remember right, I think we're even doing a little bit of trigger point work on it. And then kind of pulling it all together with how the lymphatic system like pumps and moves through your body, which still is initiated from the throat. And so, yeah, we're going deep on a very small part of your body. Like we're going to go very, very deep. So it could be helpful for neck issues, but lymphatic issues, breathing issues, there's even a bit of a psychological component that will unwind. We'll support it energetically. We'll do all the things that we can do to unwind the neck.
Question for Greg. A recommendation for a protocol for a 76-year-old woman with hip bursitis.
Okay, so it's inflamed, it's swollen.
And you can just type the answers if you'd like, if you don't want to unmute her.
Oh, I could just unmute. That's fine. Yeah, me again. It's inflamed and it's painful and it's come and go for her for many years. And I think she's had a shot in it, maybe the cortisone shot, that they do.
Yeah.
But it's acting up again, and we were just wondering if there was something we could do.
Yeah, let me see what I got going here. I think it's in the pain. Sorry, give me just a minute. I gotta look it up sometimes too. There it is. Okay. Okay, so it's inflamed. And do we know, is the issue like bone on bone at all or anything like that?
I don't know for sure. She just says she has bursitis in the hip, and she doesn't think she can walk very well.
So let's have her use something like German chamomile or yarrow, blue healer. You don't have those, like maybe helichrysum would be, but German chamomile would be my kind of go-to thing, or blue healer. And put it on like in an ointment or in a like a body tonic or a liniment or something like that, and multiple times a day. And it should really almost immediately start to bring her some relief. And then within 4 or 5 applications, it should be substantial. The reason that I like the German chamomile for this is it helps to disperse any of the fluid retention. And the issue with bursitis is that bursa sac's inflamed, but usually it's also inflamed the tendon and the sheath, because it's not producing the the lubrication for the tendon and sheath. So there usually is a little bit of inflammation in the capsule itself, the joint capsule, and then there starts to be a little bit of they don't call it tendonitis, they call it tenosynovitis, which just means like an inflamed bursa that's causing tendonitis. And so I usually start with German chamomile with that, or blue healer, and reduce it. If you don't have that, you can use things that are strongly anti-inflammatory. Anything that's like got a bluish color to it. It has in its chemical makeup a chemical called azulene that's very anti-inflammatory. So all the oils that have some blue tint to it, it's because of the presence of azulene. And so that should be helpful in reducing some of that. And then as a little bit of time goes by, I'd switch over to equal parts of helichrysum and Eucalyptus citrodora, and that will clean up the tendon and sheath issue. You could also give them some ginger internally. That combination should really reduce that quite substantially.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you need help talking it through or something like that, and we have the things that, like how you make the ointments and things. So if you want to make it with stuff that you have, we have like at the beginning of the booklets, and there's the hyperlinks. Where else would they find it? It's in the blog. It's in the blog. It's in the blog. It can walk you through how to make those things.
Yeah.
And so you could make it and get it to them pretty quickly. If that works.
Great. Yes, thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
And FYI, your recommendation of a slice of apple about a half hour before bed for acid reflux, I've been doing that for myself for the last couple of weeks, and I think it's really making a difference.
Isn't it amazing? Like how crazy is that? I get to eat a little piece of a delicious apple and not have reflux.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Could you send a trauma protocol using mugwort for the Sunday meeting I'm doing? I'm going to be talking about mugwort.
Oh, yeah. Sure. So we're just using mugwort? Yeah. For trauma, probably the easiest thing to use that for, I mean, we can write it out and send it to you as well, but would be have them inhale on the arms and legs, the joints of the arms and legs. And then, so the armpit, the elbow, the wrist, the palm, the hips, the knees, the ankles, the soles of the feet. And then you can have them do their navel as well, but probably the front heart would be the big one. Yeah.
In that order, the arms and legs?
Yeah, do the arms and legs first. And then after that, you can either just go the heart or you can have them do the navel. The navel will kind of tone the whole body, but the heart will be the part that helps to kind of process whatever trauma might be arising. You could use it with helichrysum as well if you have that, but you could do a lot with just mugwort. Yeah. And the thing with mugwort too is it does put them into more of that intuitive side of their mind, and they're able to let go much easier in that place.
Good questions, guys. Let me just make sure I didn't miss any others here real quick. But I think we're ready for a practice, right?
Yeah, let's do that. I was going to do something new, but maybe let's do something that we've done already that we can practice. So let's do this. Actually, since we're on that one, how about we pull something out of the conditions and energetic mechanics involving what we just talked about? So pull out Artemisia or mugwort, Mugwort Supreme. If you don't have those, try using Chakra Root Cleanser or Allostasis. And here in the notes, we have it done in just a slightly different order. We start with the navel and navel minor, but we'll modify it for your presentation with just adding the heart at the very end. So this is out of the energetic mechanics of the nervous system, conditions and energetic mechanics. Like I honestly, I don't remember what it was called. Okay, so you have your Artemisia Mugwort or Mugwort Supreme. Begin inhaling. Your awareness is on the navel. And then go down an inch and a half below your navel on the navel minor. And then your armpits. Your awareness is on the armpits. Then the elbows. Your awareness is on the elbows. And then the wrists. The palms of your hands. Awareness is on the palms. Taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And then just be still for a moment. Your awareness is on the whole arm, from the shoulder down to the fingertips. And then again, be still. And then your awareness is on the hips. And then the knees, especially the back of the knees. the ankles. The soles of the feet. Your awareness is on the soles of your feet. Just pause and be still. Your awareness is on the legs. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on the whole leg from the hips all the way down to the bottom of your feet. Just be still. No. We were talking about like using it to process things like trauma. So you could do this whole process, which is out of the energetic mechanics of the nervous system. But you would add just a little bit. You could say, have them put their awareness on their heart and using the same oil. Go ahead and begin inhaling with your awareness on the center of your chest. And then pause. And then their awareness is between their shoulder blades, the back heart. And then pause. And again, on the back heart, the area between the shoulder blades, taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And then just pause and be still. Now, one of the things that's really amazing about mugwort is wherever you direct it, it opens up the channels. So going through and opening up the arms and legs, it's opening up the meridians, which are offshoots of the chakras, right? So the arms and legs are important for this because it is literally the deciding factor of how well you're going to transmute or release something. If these areas of your arms and legs are really backed up, you don't really move that much energy. If they're open and flowing, you can bring something up to the mind and it will almost like start to float away on its own without even doing a process like this. Then to go a little bit further and open up the heart and the crown, or excuse me, the heart and the back heart. This allows for integration and emotionally transmuting something very, very quickly. And anytime you direct mugwort at a chakra, it opens up the chakra, or you could say activates the chakra. More energy is flowing through the chakra, both in and out. And anytime you see where something opens up the meridians or opens up the chakra like this, it's doing that through increased soul contact. The way that that happens is soul contact has increased, so it makes the chakra bigger and makes it function better, right? So in this situation, you're moving the person away from the trauma or traumatic event, and you're moving them closer to the soul, which is going to help kind of clean things up, help them to release, and help them to cognitively process through these steps. And so you could stop there, but if you want to continue, part of this part with the limbs and cognitive processing is then to do the aspect of the three brains that we were talking about earlier. And here it's listed with Siberian fir and vetiver and rooskoos and everything. But the next level or the next phase is we actually do it with Artemisia and mugwort. It does something different than what is listed here with these oils. But in this particular setting, you could do that. So how about we go through and just do a little something, something and just see how it feels. So with that same oil, the Artemisia, the Mugwort Supreme, begin inhaling. Your awareness is on the sex chakra. And then just pause for a moment. When you begin inhaling again, your awareness is on the solar plexus. And then just be still. And then begin inhaling. Your awareness is on the brain. Long, slow, deep breaths. Your awareness is on the brain. And then just be still. So if you're doing this with new people, you might want to stop right here. But if you think they can handle it, you don't really have to have them balance all three, but you just have them keep their awareness on all three. So the sex, the solar, and the brain doesn't have to be balanced, but just start kind of keeping them in mind, all three at once. And then just pause and let go. Just be still. Okay, let's maybe share experiences or ask questions about this process. You can unmute yourself or type in. We still have a few minutes before we move over to the Astara prayer, petition, blessing. So hopefully you can join us for that. But
Yeah, go ahead, Kathy, then Ralph.
hey, Kathy.
Hi. Thank you. It was just as lovely as the very first time I encountered mugwort.
Oh, good. You're so sweet. Yeah, I guess.
I love
I mean, who
it.
doesn't love mugwort? Like
I
you
don't
just,
know.
you're talking about like going and talking to some people. You just throw mugwort at them, and they'll start getting happy and kind of giggly a little bit. And even if you don't do everything exact, it'll still produce a very nice result, and they'll be very happy. So
Yeah, I know it worked. The first time I met you was at Barbara Blotcher's meditation night in Louisville.
oh yeah.
Yeah. And you passed around the mugwort and explained it, and everybody was happy.
Oh, good. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a while ago, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, before COVID.
Yeah. I don't think that group meets anymore, do they?
No, but she's doing some shaman classes still.
Oh, good for her.
Yeah. Mhm.
We saw her not too long ago. Like, I don't know, like I say not too long ago, like within the last year. But
Mhm.
yeah.
So thank you very
You're
much.
so welcome.
And then go ahead, Ralph.
Hey, Ralph.
Hey, Greg. You had mentioned I was asking about visualizing the sex solar brain, and you said for the brain, the visualize the physical brain.
Yeah.
How about
or at least put your awareness on it. You don't necessarily have to visualize it, but
okay, all right. How about the sex and the solar? Because the sexual chakra, okay, and then you have all the affiliated plumbing and parts and things. So how
just do the chakra. Just put your awareness like in that area.
Same thing for the
it's
solar?
a little bit different with the brain because you're wanting to get both sides of the brain.
Okay.
So the sex chakra, the solar plexus chakra is good, but then when you get to the brain, do the brain itself.
Okay. And so also for the front solar, just do the chakra?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay,
yeah.
Excellent. Great, thanks.
Yeah, I used to do it like a long time ago. I used to do it with the chakra there as well, instead of the brain. I found the brain made it almost like twice as potent. So,
okay. All right.
Yeah.
Good deal. Thanks.
Good.
Let me see. Rocking slightly in the flow.
Mm-hmm. Good for you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So, I think we got everybody's question and answer. So one of the things that you can do as well, like, we're talking about trauma, but you can also bring in good things. Like, healing trauma is still bringing in a good thing. It's just, it starts off, how it starts off. But like, say you have a loved one or a teacher or teachings or just something that you feel connected to or would like to increase the connection to, sit and think about it, like contemplate it. And then your awareness is on the front heart. And with your awareness on the front heart, take long, slow, deep breaths. So, this is a practice we've done a bunch. And so this for a lot of you is not something new, but it's something that can be practiced over and over. But let's just talk about it for a second. Let's just talk about it. So sometimes when we have like a little bit of a deeper understanding or a deeper reference, it makes the process more potent. So here, part of what you're doing is when you put your awareness on the heart, your heart will perceive something that the mind cannot perceive, right? So they would call this in Kabbalistic teachings the imagination of the heart. Like the heart perceives it, and then at some point the mind goes, oh, yeah, now I know what you're talking about, right? Well, there could be something completely new, but it also could be something that you already know about. So we're sitting here talking about a past event. And so part of what you're doing is you're contemplating, you're reflecting. And anytime you contemplate and reflect, you're actually stimulating the ajna, whether you are putting your awareness on the chakra or not, just like Ralph was just saying, do I put it here or do I put it there? So a lot of times, if you stimulate the body part, the corresponding chakra will activate. And we go both ways. Sometimes we stimulate the chakra, sometimes we stimulate the body part. So he had a very good question, very good point. And so here you're contemplating, right? You're contemplating, you're reflecting, you're looking at these different aspects. Now, the thing with the ajna, this is purely energetic, by the way. It's a Kabbalistic principle. It's not, literal, obviously. But you could say the ajna in Kabbalistic teachings, they refer to it as the womb, like the womb of the soul. And when you reflect something, you're beginning to bring something forth, right? Like, okay, I'm thinking of how I would like to heal this. I'm thinking I want to heal this thing. I think I want to bring this goal forth. I want to be more prosperous. I want, me and whoever to get along better, whatever it is, you're starting to bring something forth. You're starting to bring something forth, but your logical mind is like, yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah, that's a good idea, but whatever. You know what I mean? I want to heal this trauma. Yeah, that's cute, but we're not going to do that, right? We'll just, you think about it, and then I'm going to shove it back in the corner where I don't have to look at it anymore, right? So when you contemplate, right, you're kind of beginning to bring something forth. And then you put your awareness on the heart, right? And when you put your awareness on the heart begins to integrate it, but it starts to perceive things about what you're reflecting on to a much higher degree than what the mind realizes, right? And so you bring it forward and you contemplate, and then you put your awareness on the heart, and then all of a sudden you start to have kind of realizations that then go back to the mind, and the mind starts to get a fuller picture. So by doing this, you're basically kind of giving birth to like a higher form of truth or a higher form of perception. And so even this idea where you contemplate and then put your awareness on the heart is actually quite substantial, because it's refining the mind over a period of time. And so even something as simple as have somebody reflect on something and then have them inhale with their awareness on the heart, it sounds like really simple. The effects can be incredibly profound, like incredibly profound. And so there's this old saying that a couple drops of mugwort will heal issues with the mother. It's not like your mom. It's like this feminine aspect, or this giving birth aspect, like it heals issue with the mother, the bringing forth of the mother. So this is a little food for thought. We'll be going into that more over the next few weeks, but like I just thought I'd give you a little something. We are going to bounce over to Astara. If you want a little little extra juice or blessing right now, we're going to just do a little thing for 15 minutes. If not, we have our review class tomorrow night and another review class on the weekend. So hope you can join us at one of those. And if not, we'll see you next week.